Good evening, and welcome back to Breaking Waves News. I am your host, Odin. Tonight, we have another On the Hook segment. Our first channel is the fun-loving Hamill family known as the Cruising Kiwis from New Zealand. If you don't know, the Hamill family consists of Rob, Rachel, Finn, Declan, and Ivan. They started living aboard their sailboat, a 43-foot Fontaine Pajot catamaran, in 2014. They started filming YouTube in 2018. The Hamill family has a more personal and historic reason for taking their journey. Rob wants to retrace his brother's travels from Australia to Indonesia, Southeast Asia to Cambodia, where Carrie's life was cut short, where he sailed into Cambodian waters in 1978. Warning, the images that we are about to show may be disturbing. Carrie and two friends were attacked by a Khmer Rouge gunboat, where they were captured, tortured, and then executed. The story is horrific. Rob presents this story in a documentary. It's called The Brother Number One, as one of the forgotten genocides of our time. Nearly 2 million Cambodians were killed or died of starvation. This was 1/3 of the Cambodian population in 4 years' time, all by a fanatical left-wing regime known as Khmer Rouge. Pol Pot inaugurated a maniacal policy where enemies of the regime were re-educated through slavery, starvation, and torture. Lack of support for Cambodia are still evident today. Poverty and corruption and the rule of law rarely respected. A war crimes tribunal was put in place to gain justice for the victims. Rob was invited and confronted the comrade who presided over the prison where Cambodians, including Rob's brother Carrie, were tortured and killed. Rob stated that today is still a work in progress for Cambodians as they begin to come to terms with their past. Now let's take a closer look at the Hamill family. Being athletic runs in their gene pool. Rob won silver in 1994 in the World Championship rowing. He also competed in the 1996 Olympics, representing New Zealand. In 1997, Rob rowed a 7-meter plywood boat 2,500 miles from the Canary Islands to Barbados. It took 41 days, 2 hours, and 55 minutes, and win the inaugural Atlantic rowing race. In 1999, they were appointed the New Zealand Order of Merit for Services to ocean rowing. Rachel, originally from England, is a former world champion triathlete, ×3. Rachel's most recent hold of the world title was in Auckland at the age of 41. Her 2 previous wins were in her 20s. Rachel's response: she wonders what she could have done, applied herself with the same intensity in her 20s as she did in her most recent win. Finn loves pushing himself to the limit. In late 2016, he started rowing for his school, St. John's College. He feels rowing has to be the toughest Olympic sport. It takes a massive toll on your body. For some reason, he loves it. He has represented New Zealand at the under 21 level in the single scull and has a pretty good chance of making the selection for the Paris Olympic Games. It makes me wonder how Declan and Ivan will surprise us all in the years to come. The Cruising Kiwis have been full-time liveaboards now for 8 years. The Hamill family motto, life is too important to take too seriously. You can see their humor in their parodies. The Kiwis buddy boat with Sailing Zatara. Sometimes they even help keep secrets from Rachel, like episode 111. This was a very heartfelt episode. You should check it out. You will love hanging with the Kiwis. For our next story, let's check on the weather. It looks like Nick is not available at the moment. Moving on to our next channel, Sailing Avocet, featuring Chris and Marissa Neely on their 1979 Choi Lee. They were 20 when they bought Avocet in 2018 and started their YouTube channel. After graduation, they got married, then moved aboard 3 days later. They have been restoring her to her former glory and plan to sail the world. But this isn't just some other YouTube channel making that claim. Chris grew up sailing. His family's Mason 43 on the San Francisco Bay and his Victory 21 on freshwater lakes. You may know his brother John from Sailing Prism. Chris taught Marissa how to sail when they were 14 years old, and she has been hooked ever since. Chris owns CTN Visuals. He's a cinematographer that films car commercials, documentaries, and promotional material. He comes from a family of photographers and has had a camera in his hand since he was a kid, helping his dad out on jobs. He is a visual storyteller, and his skill sets have him traveling and working with all sorts of businesses in the film industry. Marissa has known Chris since she was 9 years old. She told me that she was in love with him from the first time she saw him, and she came across an old diary reminding her of such. They started dating when she was 16, and there's been no looking back. Marissa owns and operates Fairwinds Media. It's digital marketing, and she has a business that caters to clients around the globe. Before Marissa got into sailing, she was on track to become a pro snowboarder. She attended Sierra Nevada University in North Lake Tahoe. She competed in snowboarding. She earned 8th in the nation during her senior year. She has 2 bachelors in ski, business and resort management, and global business. And now she snowboards just for fun. She is a food activist and has raised over $40,000 for local food banks to combat malnutrition and those with lack of resources. Marissa believes no one should go hungry. Chris and Marissa continue to find ways to support the causes they believe in, and they partner with those organizations, such as Pack Your Trash and Save Our Shores. They plan to use their YouTube platform to spread the good. Chris and Marissa made it out to Annapolis for the 2021 boat show. They met up with their family John and Shannon on SV Prism, but you can't go to a boat show without buying some new toys. They went to a YouTube Sailing Channel meet and greet. Before they left, they hooked up with Expedition Evans, Sailing Prism, and they all agreed to see each other again soon, somewhere a bit more tropical. Well, I can say this experience has been a ride. Thank you both to the Cruising Kiwis and Sailing Avocet for sharing your stories with me. If you would like to see more about these 2 channels, the details will be in the description, as well as the first comment to be pinned below. Thank you, and good night.